lords and ladies, welcome back to Cartoon Hangout, your place for all things cartoon, and now, reviews of the new Miraculous Ladybug comic book, Miraculous, Adventures of Ladybug and Cat Noir. I'm a big fan of the TV series and have been pretty excited about this comic book as it represents, to my knowledge, the first original comic book series to spin out of the show. All the others are just screenshots from the episodes turned into books. How boring is that? With that said, you're probably wondering, well, how is the first issue? And to that, my friends, I'd say it is okay for a first issue. I'm actually more disappointed in the issue than revved up. There are two stories here, a prologue in the first chapter and an ongoing story, at least according to the credits and a to-be-continued text at the end of the book. The prologue, titled Tales from Paris Repetition, seems to be adapted from one of the web series episodes, or looks like it. So even with a promise of original stories, we can't escape another adaptation. It's a cute, bite-sized story, mind you, about Marinette practicing with Tiki to ask out Adrian. There isn't really much else there, so I'll move on to the meat of the comic. Next up is Chapter 1, Adventures of Ladybug and Cat Noir Replay, in which we get the introduction to a new villain, Replay. The actual art for the book is just okay. It passes for the art of the actual show decently enough, but in all honesty, I'm not a fan. Maybe it'll grow on me, but for now it just comes off very weak and sketchy. Not to mention, at times, it's almost difficult to make out what exactly is happening on panel, especially when it comes to depicting the main foe's powers, the ability to rewind and fast forward time. It's one of those situations where the show could have done better. Other times, the artist does a pretty decent job. It's just that in this first issue, it's very hit or miss. Replay himself is also, just okay, as the comic's first villain. He doesn't really do all that much, and he seems like a retread of another of the show's villains, Timebreaker. Mind you, he's not quite the same as that character, but it is yet another villain with control over time. In the end, he's pretty easily defeated thanks to Ladybug redirecting his beam back at him with a mirror. Now see, when that happened, I was confused because I was like, what is she directing back at him? Then I realized the art, all this time, had been badly conveying a beam coming out of his watch. It didn't look like a physical beam that could be redirected. It's just another instance where I think the art could have been more clear. So, final thoughts? It's a little bit of a sad start to what I'd been hoping would be an incredible comic book series. But then again, I've never heard of Action Lab, so maybe not totally surprising. The art at times seems rushed, and at other times seems passable. The story is pretty standard as Ladybug plots go, but the villain just seems poorly conceived, given we already had some time-manipulating foes before. If you're a fan of the show, then all of this may be something you can overlook, at least for the moment. If you aren't a fan of the show, then this will not convince you to get into it. Hopefully future issues are a little bit better than this, because dang, this was a whimper of a premiere issue. But, do you think differently? Leave me your opinions on Action Lab's first Ladybug comic in the comments below. And while you're at it, consider subscribing for more cartoon content, or check out my merch store and Patreon to support everything I do on this channel. Thanks for watching, and take care.